Listen to Uncle KC, and I want you to listen very closely. Now, I am not an expert on college football. I am a casual viewer of college football. I don't keep up with it like I do with the NFL or the NBA. With college football, I watch the big games, and that's about it. This weekend, for example, I watched the three biggest games of the weekend, including Notre Dame and Miami last night, and those were the only three games that I watched the entire weekend. So I am not an expert with college football, and I will never claim to be. However, I am extremely familiar with the Alabama fan base. Growing up here on the Gulf Coast, you just can't escape Alabama fans or LSU fans. They're like a disease. They're like a rapidly growing fungus that you can't cure. The vast majority of Alabama fans, they have never stepped foot on campus. And that's including going to games, because most of them don't travel to Tuscaloosa for games because they just can't afford to. But that does not mean they are not passionate about their team. Don't make the mistake of thinking that because they don't have money, they don't have power. Football season in Alabama, it's not September through December. They don't just get to December and their passion for that doofus elephant just disappears. These people are passionate about that elephant 12 months out of the year, and they do not tolerate failure. I don't care how much this buyout is on Kalen DeBoer's contract, $70 million, $80 million. Hell, it could be $800 million. It doesn't matter. If Kalen DeBoer does not drastically improve, he is going to be fired. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. You know, part of the reason that Alabama fans are so mad right now, it's not that their Crimson Tide are losing. It's how they're losing and who they are losing to. For starters, Kalen DeBoer is 1-3 in his last 4 games. He's 5-5 in the last 10. That dog alone won't hunt. But it gets worse. Listen to some of these losses. They lost to Vanderbilt in a game where Alabama never had the lead. Lost to an Oklahoma team that finished under 500. They lost to Tennessee on the road, which, that's fine. The problem is they failed to produce a single first down on the final 4 possessions of the game. And now they lost to Florida State in a game where they were a 2-touchdown favorite on the road. And again, it's not just the loss, it's how they lost. Outside of the first drive, Alabama was completely outplayed the entire game. They looked lost. They didn't have a clue. No one had any answers. To make matters worse, they lost to a quarterback that was benched last season at Boston College. And he was shit-talking all summer about how he was going to kick Alabama's ass. And he went out there and he kicked their ass. Some people are claiming that Kalen DeBoer is going to be fired before the season. They're going to fire him mid-season, but I just don't see that happening. But if this season is a repeat of last season, if Alabama isn't in the playoff conversation, which is not only possible, it's likely, they've got Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Oklahoma, South Carolina. 2 losses in those 5 games, they're done. If that happens, Kalen DeBoer is gone. Well, KC, this is an overreaction. They're not going to fire him after 2 seasons. Yeah, I know it's an overreaction. That's what Alabama fans do. They overreact. But you just don't understand unless you're familiar with the area. These people are absolutely relentless. They will be so annoying. They will apply so much pressure until they get what they want. For starters, It was a mistake to commit this kind of money to Kalen DeBoer to begin with, and the length of the contract. And it was a mistake on his part to come to Alabama. You never want to follow the legend. You want to be the guy that comes in and cleans up the mess that was left by the dude that made the mistake of following the legend. The problem here for Alabama fans, and this is something that they don't realize in their current state of rage, who are you going to get to replace Kalen DeBoer? Who is going to come in and restore greatness? Dan Lanning is not leaving Oregon. You tried to bring in Kirby Smart a couple of years ago, but he wasn't interested. So who are you going to hire that's going to match the success of Nick Saban? The truth is that coach does not exist. Once Gene Stallings left in '96, it took Alabama over 10 years to replace him. They went through 4 coaches before they found Nick Saban. In Saban's first year, it was not great. I remember they lost to Louisiana Monroe or Louisiana Tech. It was one of those flaming ass fires. Nick Saban's first season in Tuscaloosa was a disaster. But the difference is, Nick Saban wasn't dealing with the same pressure. Alabama had been bad for so long, Nick Saban was given the benefit of patience. Kalen DeBoer doesn't have that same luxury, which is the main problem when you follow the legend. I know Alabama fans don't want to hear this, but you're probably in for some long years, a lot of long seasons. Your program is on the decline. I don't think Kalen DeBoer's a bad coach. I think he's a good coach in an impossible situation. And it's highly unlikely that he is the head coach at Alabama by this time next year. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the main channel.